Hello, everyone, and thank you once again for joining me, Jan Hart, and my wonderful husband, Mr. Chris. Woo!
Good evening, everybody.
So, once again, we are here to have a late night discussion with you, look at different perspectives on some current trending news. Oh, I'm sorry, I did not introduce Grace. Grace, say hi. No, not to say hi to them. Can you say hi?
Go ahead. She's not gonna do it.
She's not gonna do it. She'll do it later. Look, there she goes. Hi. Okay, so Grace will be here with us. We're gonna see how this works because she usually gets so upset. Like you've heard her in the previous video. She's outside that door. She's just not trying to hear it. So, as I said, we are back to talk about perspectives and, on different current events and trending topics in the news. And so want to just check in with everybody here on Late Night with Chris and Jan. Are you tired of hearing about the coronavirus yet? Just curious, drop it in the comments. If you are tired of listening to more news about the coronavirus and what it could do and who it affects and da-da-da-da, are you tired of hearing about it?
Yes, I am.
I'm breathing.
But what can you do?
Are you one of those folks? Because if you are part of the problem. You, all of y'all,
no,
part of the problem.
I do my social distancing, my sanitizing, washing my hands, my mask, everything if I'm outside. So I know what's going on. So
yeah, for the most part, we are in this house, especially since we have a colleague who has now tested positive for COVID-19. So for those of you who are saying, do you actually know somebody? Yes, I do. Yes, well, need to protect their identity. But at the end of the day, no, you can't get tired of hearing about it, because at the end of the day, it's only when we constantly inundate ourselves with this information, these scenarios, that it's real to us. Like, why does it have to wait until, someone is sick? Or why does it have to wait until, like they always say, why do they have to wait until the funeral for us to all get together and so on and so forth? And it's like that time right now where why does it have to wait, before you take it seriously, before it's like, what's the update? What's the 411? Oh, what's the latest, no, you do that for sneakers. You're like, when's the release date? When are they coming out? You need to be the same way about the coronavirus. That's how I feel.
I don't know.
I hope you're not tired.
I
hope
feel
you're
that
not tired. Which way you don't feel?
About having to always ask about the coronavirus, everything else.
You
I just want
updates?
People being safe. Being safe. Looking out for themselves.
Yes, I want
protecting themselves and being safe.
Be safe.
Because it's real and serious. It's not a game. We are probably, and now it's coming known that it's affecting us the most and the hardest.
Yes.
Because of our situation and condition we're in. So our community is suffering the most. So.
Mm-hmm. And so, I really want us to consider this question. I know that some people get angry about it, but, please consider the question of, why are we still working?
That's a good one.
Why are we still working?
At jobs that aren't, as I see, that's not essential. So.
No one but medical workers and the people who have to move shipments of food and, sustaining life essentials that we need, those people, I understand. I thank them for their service. I find them to be heroes.
Clothes and, perfumes and
I don't know
video games and no.
I don't know why.
That's not an essential job for people to be delivering that crap and out there doing that for people. It's just not. I don't see it. So.
No, not even. And the thing is that I
get
it.
Delivering bills on essential to no one. Bills.
Now people are going to blame it on their post.
The postmaster.
I don't know why it's your fault I'm getting bills.
Yeah. Why is he endangering himself and me bringing me a bill? It's ridiculous.
He should only be delivering essential supplies. But no, in the bigger picture, he really should. He should only be delivering essential supplies. Like
not bills. I don't
Not
understand.
bills. No, not bills. Not circulars.
Yeah.
None of those things.
Mostly
you know?
bills. I don't. This why you been delivering bills. Why are you doing this to yourself or to the community?
But no,
It's the truth.
it's
Right.
well, I mean, it is like at the end of the day, at the beginning of this series, I said, essentially people are going to work in order for other people to be able to stay home, for them to have their convenience. And there's only power in collective bargaining. Like when it comes to renting, when it comes to working, and I don't say this as a business owner, because like I explained to my clients, if you're out of work and you can't pay me, then didn't I essentially lose my job? So it's not as though, I'm not affected.
We both lost income.
Yeah, we both lost income. So the thing is that you can't think that it's only you, in that the only way for anybody, whether, you're a buyer or seller or renter or whatever, the only way for you to have any type of leg to stand on, especially when it comes to bills or rent or any of these things that we all, are faced with. Okay, how do we do these things with a different income unexpectedly? Well, the only way to do that would have been collectively. But since there's so many of us that are still at work, who actually feels as though there's some kind of pinch or squeeze going on? And now I consider the people who are essential workers, like the ones who are delivering a medical service, or the ones who are, coming around and delivering, food and essential things that people need to the houses.
Home health aides that's looking out for the elderly still and things like that.
Yes. And if there's like an emergency, repair situation, like your pipe completely bust, then there should be like somebody on call, like for, complete emergencies. But just because, your lawn isn't done.
Not essential worker. The lawnmower guy. No.
Not at all. And I've had to tell some people, like, right now we're not calling for lawn service. We're not. So now what would have happened if all the people who were non-essential workers, right, by the definitions that we just said, if all the people who are non-essential workers, if everybody actually stopped working?
Or went into self-quarantine like we were supposed to do.
Exactly. So I don't know. Everyone has their, conspiracy theory on what they think is going to happen next and how long we're going to be indoors and the blah, 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 blah. But let me give my little take on it. And this is my little conspiracy note for the evening. We're not going outside anytime soon. And in a minute, they're going to force people indoors. They ain't have no choice. Or the flip side, which to me is just the scariest thing ever, is that they're just going to open everything back up and say, you know what? Going back outside. Yeah.
We need the economy back.
Yeah.
The rich need their money.
Yeah.
Do it for corporations. They're not doing it for small business people or none of that. That's not, they're going to do it for the corporations because they're losing too much money and they're getting paid too. So they like, hey, I like my both sides of the bread buttered. So that's how they do things. Yep.
And it's just sadness at the end of the day, because they're going to get paid all the way around, right? And while you're there sacrificing your very life, the life of everyone in your household, because as you see from the numbers, which we're going to get into in a minute, the people who are in, service industry jobs, these essential workers, are the main demographic that is coming up positive with COVID-19.
Yes, and getting sick. So
you're essentially doing all this, and if you have been working for any number of years, you already know that no matter how much bending over backwards you do, it doesn't gain you any loyalty.
Loyalty, extra money, nothing. It's just,
nothing.
You can't, no.
You're lucky if you get a pizza party on Friday, or a little bit of consideration that you went over on your break when your review comes during this, COVID-19. Having your review and they're sitting, far from each other. Neither one of y'all have any PPE. And one of y'all sitting there telling the other one about why they could only get a $1 raise. Like, that's the craziness. You know what it is? Like I said, we are all in this together. But I truly believe it's because people do not want to be inconvenienced. People can't, and I remember TD Jakes one time, back when people were losing their houses in that first round, TD Jakes was saying to people, if you lose your house, it's going to be okay. And it's like sometimes when someone comes along with that message of, if you lose something, it's gonna be okay. Like people get so offended. Like, what do you mean I'm gonna lose something? Like, why don't you lose something? And what you gonna lose? I might lose just as much as you, maybe even more. But at the end of the day, all we can do is play the cards that we have at this moment. And if by some chance you lose something, wouldn't you rather lose it and still have your peace of mind? So that way you can formulate a plan for how you're gonna build back up. No. I will make adjustments, which I am making adjustments. I'm gonna make adjustments in my life. Yeah, make adjustments in my life. It's not like it's no awesome, wonderful time. No, everybody is somewhere making adjustments. So my thing is that the same way I'm listening to the government basically say, we need to figure out how to get the economy going. The first bright idea was, let's get the elderly people to sacrifice themselves. You sacrifice crazy. Yourself for the economy, elderly people. This is for your children and your grandchildren. It's your patriotic duty.
No, but our governor want to sacrifice the kids.
Yes.
Because he want to send them back to school.
Like ASAP. So let me see. Got my little notes. Got to keep my notes. So Governor DeSantis, and I had to make sure that I could find this on more than one news outlet. So you have The Hill, you have CNN, WCTV, and Politico all talking about the fact that Governor DeSantis' big bright idea was that, even if it's only for a couple of weeks, I believe that it's worth it for the kids to get back if it's safe. Well, what barometer are you using in order to figure out whether or not it's safe?
25 and under was his barometer.
Oh yeah, because none of that age demographic has died in Florida, so it's okay to send the kids to school.
Logic behind it, because they 21 or 25 and
25 and under.
25 and under, so they're not at risk. So we should send them back to school. It's crazy.
How bright!
It's crazy.
But what I say to that is the same way we listen to something that he's saying and we say, oh, he's crazy. Like, why would he want to do that? But at the end of the day, the same way we want our kids protected is the same way that we have to figure out, if possible, like I understand for some people, it's just like not possible. I've met people who they tell me they have nobody. They don't have an aunt, an uncle, a cousin.
Got a few clients like that. Yeah. Still got some like that, actually.
Yeah, so the thing is, I get it. Like, there's people out there who have no one. And you definitely don't want to end up, on rock bottom when you have absolutely no one. I completely get that. But if you have any resource whatsoever, if you have any skill that you could bring to the table, this is a time for, like I said, collective bargaining on every level. So once again, that's just our little rant when it comes to, why are we still working? And who's listening to Governor DeSantis? Like, what happened with that?
A lot of people listening.
Oh, Mary Martha.
Because, like you said, everybody wants stuff a lot of people just want stuff to be all right. Mm-hmm. Or to be okay or better, or just don't want to see that it's bad or anything like that. So they stick to we're fine. We can open back up. So it's ridiculous. So,
at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, why are you willing to sacrifice everything for the economy? You get mad when you hear other people imply it or insinuate it or flat out say it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're contributing to that belief. Like Trump said on the news, the American people, they want to get back to work. And at the end of the day, when me and Mr. Chris were talking about it, yeah, the American people do want to get back to work. I want to get back to work. But at the end of the day, the question is not, do we want to get back to work? The question is, can we actually get back to work safely? Like, do we actually want to do that?
Exactly. Can we get back to work and can we get back safely?
Yeah.
But they don't care about the safe part at all. That's not, a thing there, because I guess they don't see the New York digging mass graves.
I guess that's fake news.
No. Okay.
We're going to have some people on here from New York. We actually have just had so much stuff going on. We couldn't get our guests on, but I'm hoping that they'll be able to reschedule with us tomorrow. Yeah, so we could talk with some folks from New York and get you the scoop on how things are going out there. But in addition to what Mr. Chris said about Governor DeSantis, another thing I want to just point out is that the people who watch the kids while they're in school, most of those people are usually over 25.
Exactly, staff members, and teachers, and
so
it's ridiculous.
I just encourage
parents,
anyone who's watching this and just thought to themselves like, well, that's right, the kids aren't really getting sick, and I guess you're a little bit tired of playing homeschool mommy. But no, you can't just say that, if the politician said it's okay, well, then I could send the kids back, it's okay. No, you can't contribute.
Politicians say all kind of foolishness.
To the nonsense. You have to be the one to make the stand that says, we're not going to go in.
And if we're going to do stuff like that, can we test everybody? How about let's get everybody tested so we can see what's what instead of just guessing. That's my thing. Just start testing everybody and let's just stop guessing, playing a guessing game or hoping it's not going to be too bad or not worse, like our president. Just assuming and wanting it to not be bad or worse or whatever because he want to be president again. So. But he probably would because he's going against Biden. So that's just horrible. Yeah, so that ain't even that's a lose-lose situation. But it's Democrats. They love losing. So
I don't think that they're actually losing. I think that
they
just made some kind of backdoor deal that says, you know what?
They're
going to put up a losing candidate.
Yes,
so
that
we
got
can
a losing
lose
candidate because if you think Biden is going to debate Donald Trump, and he's going to just trip him up at every instant. He ain't going to be able to say anything.
No, but
that's if he even make it. He might not even make it to.
But see, that's the checkers part, Chris. I'm so serious. Like, no, that's not it. The thing is like you said, it's the left and the right wing on the same bird. So the thing is that the Republicans are already known for being a hot mess crazy. So they can do the dirt and get the blame, but they both get the profit. Because the Democrats said, you know what, we're going to throw the game. We're going to just throw the game. We're going to just put a candidate up there that we know is not even a real challenge, but people like him. So, they're going to rally him and they're going to surround him.
I know you're on the same bird or whatever else, the Democrats and the Republicans, but on the Democratic end, they're playing chess too because even if they're in that scenario or what, they got to act like they care about somebody.
They are.
Yes, no, you got to act like you care about poor people, black people, all that. But Republicans don't have to worry about none of that. But Democrats, they have to do that. Now, if they putting somebody up there just to throw the game, and no, they're gonna get people that's gonna which a lot of people don't have confidence in them anyway. But they're gonna lose a lot of voters too, and they don't want to do that.
Wow.
Because they don't. Because you want to keep voters in there. Because next time you can lose your seats and all that other stuff too.
Well,
and they're trying to keep. And no, they don't want to make too much of a spectacle and show them real selves. Because then they got a lot to lose, and that's voters. They always gonna get the money and corporate money and all that. That's not an issue. It's voting season. They don't care about nothing. Just voting season. That's it. It's time to vote. And so we got to put our vote faces on. That's it. And that's all. After that, we don't have to worry about it. We can go back to just, hanging out and partying and making up stupid laws, arguing with each other for nothing and playing golf and tennis, partying. I don't know what's wrong with him. Yeah.
You know what? Let's sidebar. So just FYI, Universal Studios, they have closed their parks through May 31st. So when I saw that first, I saw that the Universal Studios parks were closing, and I said to Mr. Chris, Chris, Universal is not going to close to May 31st unless they got some kind of scoop that ain't nobody going nowhere no time soon. See? There they go. And sure enough, watch and see. They're going to extend here too. He's talking about schools, but see, that was supposed to be the geese to make you think that there's some hope. It's just that nonsense backfired because most of us, we bright enough to know that there's not proper testing being done. The numbers are probably far under accurate, and no one wants to go outside. If anything, we're trying to figure out how to get inside as best as we can, except for these young people
and stay inside. No, it's so ridiculous.
And I'm pretty sure, you leave it in the comments. I really want to know. I'm posting as a posting tomorrow. If they open the schools back, would you send your kids?
That's a good question. It's a good question, people.
Because I'm pretty sure, I can't guarantee, but I'm pretty sure that even if the public schools open back up, the private schools are not going to open back up.
No, I think they're done.
They're not going to open back up. They're going to continue to do virtual learning and sending home packets or whatever it is they need to do, but they're not going to open back up. So if they're not opening back up and the public schools open back up, would you send your kids? Mm-hmm. Just like the whole thing with the vaccine. Like, I'm thinking to myself, okay, no one's going to want to take that vaccine. And people are like, yeah, I would take the vaccine. No, not unless they force you, like by gunpoint. Like, you should not be in a rush to go and take a vaccine that was conjured up by this administration.
It's the pill for malaria. When you have to go to a country that have malaria, you have to take those pills.
Oh, but the best part is the side effects from taking this malaria drug is that your one of the things is your tongue
said
it
wasn't that
swell up.
It wasn't that bad though, because one of the doctors said he had to take it because he had to do work in Africa, so he was taking it too, and he said it wasn't bad.
Chicago, what's going on in Chicago?
Their jails is infested with the coronavirus. And they won't let none of the low-level detainees or anything loose. I mean, for petty crimes, for warrants for nonsense, non-violent crime. And they are, I think it said like 140-something of the employees.
Oh, the employees CEOs, are sick as well.
Have gotten the coronavirus there.
It's the largest in Chicago. Type in Chicago jail has the largest cluster.
Yes, and it's their jail
system.
I forgot cases. Which jail it was, but like 100 and something of their employees already.
I believe it was on RT News.
Caught the coronavirus or have the virus. 100 and something of their employees. That's crazy. And they still won't do anything.
Watching the Hawks, wasn't it? Watching the Hawks?
I don't think so.
It's one of the two, but I know it was on RT News. I know that it was on an RT News station.
I don't know. I think it was on what's the name?
Because I remember watching it last night.
I think that was the other one.
What, Al Jazeera?
I think that might have been it.
Oh, I have to cut that one.
Why you have to cut it?
Because I don't know which source is accurate.
You have plenty sources we go off reading off the news station, whatever. Sometimes I watch CNN too because I like laughing.
Gotcha. Well, how do you feel that your city is doing with the quarantine? So we see that Chicago is failing. Not only are they failing with the quarantine, but they're failing when it comes to doing something to address the disparities that are already evident in their minority communities.
But what state is doing anything? There's no states doing anything. They acknowledge it, but they're not doing anything. New York acknowledge it, but they're not doing anything.
But I would at least, systemically, it's been known that they never do anything. But one thing that even the federal government refuses to do on many minority issues is acknowledge. Sometimes the only thing someone can do for you, if they don't have the power to change things for you, is to just at least acknowledge it for you. No, like you need to let people know that your hospital bed availability is low. Compared to other locations. Like put things in place since you already know that one of the inequalities is where minorities work. Like they work in most of these service sectors. They are the ones who have diabetes and the hypertension. And so if you have these things already prevalent, like you already knew this ahead of time, oh, it's affecting people that have X, Y, and Z. Oh, look, that neighborhood, it has X, Y, and Z. So maybe we should put a couple little Band-Aids over there to keep X, Y, and Z from going crazy and destroying the community. And this takes me back to, why are we still working?
Exactly. And I'm pretty
Because-
sure it's
Mhm.
not a choice.
What, to go work?
Yes.
No, it's not. But my thing is that you have to see people more so take a moment to try to figure out how to salvage things instead of thinking to themselves, okay, what can I lose without it destroying me? Now, me and you've been in each other's lives for almost 20 years. You've seen me go from having absolutely nothing, to then being able to build something. So if God was able to do it once, he could do it again. And it's not even like he just did it once. Like I say, he did it in my childhood and then he did it again in my adulthood. So my thing is, like, I know he can do it again. I know he can do it for anyone who believes. And my whole thing is, it's not like this is a sermon. I do believe in God. I have no, I'm not no qualms about that. But at the end of the day, I can only go from my own testimony, what's happened in my own life. And in my own life, I know I've seen my mother struggle. I've seen my grandmother struggle. I've seen everybody struggle.
Everybody struggle.
And they figure out a way. I mean, it cost them tears. It cost them some pride. It cost them a whole lot of things. But they still built it up. They still did what they needed to do. They got through it. But how do you get through it if you're dying? People who never died before. They're dying. Like the president said.
Like that's his quote.
Lord Jesus, I can't let that go. I want to actually give you a couple of those stats. I want to pull up the pictures and show you some of the stats coming out of New York. Here, let's see. Here we go. So Hispanics lead.
It's backwards.
It's not backwards. It just looks backwards to us, but it's not backwards to them. So Hispanics, lead the list, unfortunately, and then blacks and whites right behind. Asians are faring pretty well, but at the same point in time, if it's rampant in one community, it's only a matter of time before it gets to another community if we don't use precautionary measures. Now, New York is saying that their numbers seem to be coming down. The same thing. Sadness.
But that shows backwards.
I'm not messing with you.
I'm not messing with you.
California, I'm sorry. So in New York, they're saying that their numbers are coming down. In California, they're saying that their numbers have leveled off, that they're actually just staying the same. And so they look at that as a victory as well. As long as the numbers are not going up, then, states are taking that as a victory. And so the thing is, that's my biggest fear, is us getting to the place where they just sweep it under the rug. Like, everything is good. Like, everybody released. No, like that's like what worries me. What about you?
Same thing. We get back and go back into making this epidemic worse by rushing things, which is ridiculous. So, like our governor's trying to do, and our president. So, scary. Our governor follows right behind the president too. They silly alike.
We did not say they were silly.
Yes, they silly alike.
We don't want any problems on this page.
We don't have any problems with them.
And so one of the final things that we're going to chit chat about before we go to sleepy time. For some reason, this is another side note. Someone told me that being on the quarantine has made them actually more lazy, less productive.
I can see that with some people.
But for me, it's almost like it's made me kind of more productive. It's almost like my body's getting on this routine. It's because
it's
go to bed at night.
We switched to a lot of virtual and computer stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I wake up in the morning now. I think I wake up earlier than you now.
Yes, and get on the computer.
Yeah. Because it's like, oh my gosh, like I wasted all that time in the middle of the night going to sleep. Like, so. Last but not least, as a lot of you know, I am a social worker. And so one of the things that is of concern to me is the amount of homeless, or should I say, the amount of homeless on the street. And it's given life to my other conspiracy theory in my mind, which is...
I don't think that's a conspiracy theory.
It's not a conspiracy theory. I mean,
it's a shift. Like you said, it's a shift in the what is it again?
In the stratified system.
There we go. Now those that were doing the day labor stuff and all that and still paying for rooms and weekly stuff, they can't do that no more. So now all of those people are in the street now that were paying for hotels or So now they're in the street because they don't have that income no more.
Right. And the people who have replaced them are, more than likely the people who were like just hanging on in a low income type of living situation.
Yeah.
And so now, they've said, okay, it's still cheaper for me to go over here to this hotel and spend a little bit of time at the hotel until I get back on my feet versus me, trying to maintain this apartment. And, I get that. That's actually rightfully so. I mean, if you're in an apartment and, it's just maybe you and your spouse and you're paying about $1,500 to $2,000, it's easier to just take the loss and go ahead and pay off the, fee to disconnect from the lease. It's better to just pay that fee off and then go and pay like $900 a month in a hotel room and just take the scale back. You're not paying the lights, you're not paying the water, you're not even having to pay the Wi-Fi in most cases or the cable, and the only thing is that now you've gone from having a full place to now being in one room. But that's what I'm saying, like, who's willing to take a loss and so they can get back up on their feet. But at the same point in time, for those people who, they really don't have the alternatives, they don't have any options, like they have to go. At the end of the day, yes, those people, some of them are still getting displaced because there's nowhere for them to go. Day labor is closed, all of the positions are closed, or, whatever the situation is that's keeping them from being able to afford, that $2 something a week or that $1 something a week. And now they are outside. And not only are they outside, they're outside and they're congregating.
Yeah.
Yes. So I mean, there's so many different societal factors going on right now. Like there's so many different things going on that I just can't even imagine in my mind why we would want to stop talking about this yet. I don't get that. I feel for us to stop talking about it is actually for us to do a disservice to ourselves and everyone in our household. Like we need to stay on top of a disease that's a pandemic. It's a global pandemic. So we can't just look at what's going on in our own household. We have to look at what's going on in the global community. What's going on, in a place like Australia, what's going on in Europe, looking back at China. And it's like, what happens today could vastly change from what happens tomorrow. One minute they say, oh, we're going to loosen the restrictions. And then the next thing you know, and about maybe 3 hours later, it's an update to the news briefing. And they're saying, well, no, actually, the World Health Organization said X, Y, and Z, and we have to take that. That's the kind of environment we're living in right now. Like, that's the way that the news is being updated right now. Is like that, fast that things change. So I just encourage everyone to please do not grow weary in making sure that you're informed.
That's right. Look at, just check out other outlets, news outlets, papers from all over. Just read other stuff and you'll be surprised of all the information that's out there that we don't get here. Trust and believe me.
Yeah.
That you don't get. We don't get here. We get nonsense.
What I would like to see before we run is if you see the donate button, please take a moment, and even if it's only $1, please donate to Youth and Family Services. We utilize the funds that go into the nonprofit for the nonprofit. It doesn't go towards our salary, doesn't go towards any houses. It goes directly towards youth and families. Most of that money probably will sit in that fund until all of this has squared itself away in order for us to be able to help people with monetary assistance. Because when this is done, like we said, there are some people who, if they could go to work, they would go to work.
Yes.
Which we're grateful that they can't go to work. But at the end of the day, they still going to have to figure out how to make up this money that's going to still be needed, because nowhere did anyone say anything to me about they were forgiving rent. So
not at all.
You still owe it.
We
owe it.
We're not on that list.
Unfortunately, because whoever you owe that to, they owe somebody and they have to pay that somebody, and that person is saying, I still need you to pay, and they're telling you they still need you to pay. And so, the cycle just goes on and it continues. That's why it's, an economy, a global economy, because everybody owes somebody right now. Everybody owes somebody something, because it stopped mid-business. It's like in the middle of the business day, it was like, oh, everybody closed it, computers is down. One of those situations. Only difference is it wasn't the computers was down. It was like, oh, everybody go home. There's a virus in the air. You can't see it yet, but it's killing everybody. Bye. One of those.
Exactly.
So, like I said, we definitely need people to donate, because it's a situation that is not going to go away tomorrow. And so, you never know if the 50 cents you give today, you need that to be exponentially increased because you need help with, a situation tomorrow. So please take a moment and please donate to Firmly Established. If you would like to know more about Firmly Established, please click the link in the bio to go to holisticcoaching.info. And from there, you can hit charitable services. And from there, you will go onto the nonprofit website. Our for-profit does give a lot of funding to our nonprofit. That is, our way of being a socially responsible company and definitely continuing the cycle of giving back to our community. If you have a food donation and you want to give the food directly, instead of giving a monetary donation, if you want to just directly give food, please drop it off at Atwater's Soul Food Restaurant on the corner of, as he said, 9th Street South, or in other
MLK and
22nd
Avenue South.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining us here on Late Night with Chris and Jan. And what we ask for you to do is hit the share button and share this with folks. We thank you for hanging out with us, and we hope that you enjoy the new scenery. We hope you're loving it.
The artwork. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yes, we hope you love that. So have an awesome rest of the evening, and we look forward to seeing you here tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. for another episode of Late Night with Chris and Jan.